It is our job as men to become men of value, but at the same time we are told that we must be humble and have a low view of ourselves, in which you must work hard to become a man of value, but then refuse to recognize that you are a man of value. It is our job as men to compete in this world and to win, but at the same time we are told that we must be humble and refuse to think that we are better than others, in which you are expected to win, but then pretend that you are no different than the losers. We as men are expected to live a life of achievement, but at the same time we are told that we must be humble and that we must not be proud, in which you are expected to achieve, but refuse to recognize that you are a man of achievement. Humility demands that you ignore your value, disregard your success, and degrade your achievements, but these are at the very core of what it means to be a man. Men are defined by their success, their competence, and their achievements, the very things that humility seeks to destroy. Humility is the enemy of masculinity. Now let's explore this in depth. Humility has three main definitions, the first of which is this. 1. To be humble, you must have a low view of yourself. And of course, having a low view of yourself isn't necessarily bad if you're a worthless loser, but what if you aren't? What if you are fit, educated, hardworking, and wealthy? To someone who advocates humility, none of that matters. You must have a low view of yourself, regardless of your value. But this is obviously absurd. If you have worked all your life to become a truly extraordinary man, it would be an absolute tragedy for you to have a low view of yourself. If you are a man of value, you must have a high view of yourself. You must embrace the high self-esteem that you have rightfully earned. And the reason isn't because having a high self-esteem is good, but because if you are a man of value, then having a high self-esteem is what is in alignment with reality. And this is the fundamental reason why humility is wrong. In order to be humble, you must have a low view of yourself, whether or not it is true. Humility is wrong because it demands that you ignore reality. To be an extraordinary man, but to have a low view of yourself, is to look at the color red and to tell me it is blue. Humility demands that you ignore your value and ultimately ignore reality. And the solution to this isn't to have a high view of yourself because you may not be deserving of a high self-esteem, in which you would once again be ignoring reality. The solution to humility is to have an accurate view of yourself. So if you have just cured cancer, you must recognize that you are incredible. If you are a homeless drug addict, you must recognize that you are a worthless loser. If you are an extraordinary man, recognize that. If you are a worthless bum, recognize that. The solution to humility is to have whichever self-esteem is aligned with reality. You must not be humble and blindly think lowly of yourself, nor should you blindly think highly of yourself. The answer is to have an accurate view of yourself. Do not let those who advocate humility trick you into thinking that you are undeserving of self-esteem. If you are a man who has worked hard to become a man of value, a man who is educated, hardworking, and wealthy, not only must you not have a low view of yourself, you must have a high view of yourself. Do not deprive yourself of the high self-esteem that you have rightfully earned. Do not be humble. Now, the second definition of humility is this. To be humble, you must not believe that you are better than others. And the obvious problem with this is, what if you are better than others? What if you are fit, educated, hardworking, and wealthy, and someone else is fat, uneducated, lazy, and poor? In order for you to be humble and to believe that you are not better than others, you would need to believe that you are no better than a worthless bum, that you are no better than the 50-year-old cashier at the local supermarket who is living off of food stamps, that you are no better than a homeless drug addict. To be humble, you must not believe that you are better than others. And this, of course, is idiotic because we are obviously not all equal, in which some people, by definition, will be better than others. And those who advocate humility know this, because they obviously wouldn't date the first person who comes across their path. They would wait for someone who they thought was good enough, which presupposes that not all people are equal. So when they say that you should be humble and to not think that you are better than others, It's not that they want you to accept that you are not better than others, but to pretend that you are not better than others. And this is made painfully obvious when you watch the Olympics, and the winner says that he just got lucky, or he is just a normal guy like everyone else, and then people praise him for being humble. But obviously, they aren't praising him for accepting the fact that he isn't better than others, because if he just won gold, then you can't deny that he is better than others. So when he acts humble, what people are really praising is him pretending that he is not better than others. You must pretend like a smiling idiot that we are all equal and to refuse to think that you are better than others. And this definition of humility is wrong because it demands that no matter how extraordinary you are, that you do not view yourself as being better than a worthless bum. Being humble demands that an intelligent man view himself as no better than a brainless idiot, that a fit man view himself as no better than an obese slob, that a wealthy man view himself as no better than a homeless drug addict. Being humble is wrong because it demands that you ignore the fact that people are not all equal and that you ignore reality and pretend that no one is better than anyone else. And the solution to humility, of course, isn't to blindly believe that you are better than everyone around you, because that may not be true, in which you would once again be ignoring reality. The solution to humility is to have an accurate view of your relative value. So if you are educated, fit, and wealthy, then you must recognize that you are superior to the man who is uneducated, fat, and poor. But if you are uneducated, fat, and poor, then you must recognize that you are inferior to the man who is educated, fit, and wealthy. You must not be humble and blindly accept that you are no better than others, nor should you blindly think that you are better than everyone. The solution to humility is to have an accurate view of your relative value. And to make this explicit, if you are a fit man, do not pretend that you are no better than an obese slob. If you are a wealthy man, do not pretend that you are no better than a homeless bum. If you are an educated man, do not pretend that you are no better than an illiterate moron. Do not be humble. Do not disrespect what you have been through in order to become the man that you are. But not only should you not be humble, you should be immensely proud of yourself. But that is not allowed by the third definition of humility. 3. You must not be proud. And to be proud in this context means having a high self-esteem. So when people tell you to be humble and to not be proud, what they are saying is that no matter what you do, no matter what you achieve, and no matter how extraordinary you become, you must not dare have a high self-esteem. It does not matter if you are an Olympic gold medalist. It does not matter if you are a world-renowned scientist. It doesn't even matter if you are a medical pioneer who saves millions of lives every year. In order for you to be humble, you must ignore your value, ignore your achievements, and refuse to have a high self-esteem. But some would say that being proud doesn't mean having a high self-esteem, but having an excessively high self-esteem. But that is just not how the word is used. I have seen far too many examples of people achieving things, anything at all, and the instant they convey any sign of self-esteem, they are attacked for being proud. If someone wins a tournament and correctly recognizes that they're a competent athlete, they are attacked for being proud. If someone earns a promotion and they correctly recognize that they are competent, they are attacked for being proud. So as much as people say that being proud means not having an excessively high self-esteem, that is simply not how the word is used. When someone tells you to be humble and to not be proud, what they mean is that you must ignore your value, ignore your achievements, and refuse to have a high self-esteem. And this definition of humility is wrong because it completely detaches your value as a man from your self-esteem. Humility demands that you succeed, but refuse to recognize that you are a successful man. Humility demands that you achieve, but refuse to recognize that you are a man of achievement. Humility demands that no matter how extraordinary you are, and no matter what you achieve, that you refuse to have high self-esteem, in which ultimately humility is wrong, because again, it demands that you ignore reality. And the solution isn't to blindly have high self-esteem, but to have an accurate self-esteem. So if you are an extraordinary man, you must have high self-esteem. But if you are a worthless loser, then you must have low self-esteem. The correct self-esteem is whichever self-esteem is in alignment with reality. You must not be humble and blindly accept that you are undeserving of a high self-esteem. If you are a man of value, then you must recognize that you are a man of value and have the high self-esteem that you have rightfully earned. Do not be one of the men who becomes rich, fit, and educated, and who has achieved everything he ever hoped of achieving, but then refuses to think highly of himself. That is an absolute fucking tragedy. Do not be humble and degrade your achievements or ignore your value. If you have worked hard to live a life of achievement and to become a man of value, you have earned the right to a high self-esteem. Do not be humble. But knowing why you must not be humble is not enough. You need to know why people will constantly try to trick you into being humble. When people tell you to be humble, it is because when you show your value, you illuminate just how little value they have. People tell you to be humble in an attempt to hide their mediocrity. These people understand that if high-value people hide their superiority, then their inferiority will be hidden as well. Because if we pretend that everyone is equal, then no one can be inferior to anyone else, in which those among us who are worthless losers can safely hide among those of us who are actually worth something. Don't think that the push for humility is coming from a place of kindness. Not a chance. It is coming from a place of fear, incompetence, and desperation. When people tell you to be humble, it is because they are annoyed that you are illuminating the fact that you are better than them, and they want to go back to the delusion that everyone is equal. Take notice that almost all of the people who advocate humility are those who have nothing to be humble about. These people want you to be humble and to hide your value because they themselves have no value. They want you to be humble and to never feel pride because they themselves have nothing to be proud about. They want you to be humble and to hide your achievements because they themselves have achieved nothing. Do not let these people trick you into being humble. Do not let them lie to you and indoctrinate you into thinking that humility is a virtue. Humility is not a virtue. There is nothing virtuous about degrading your achievements. There is nothing virtuous about pretending that you are worth less than you actually are. There is nothing virtuous about pretending that you are no better than a worthless bum. You must refuse to pretend that you are not better than those around you. You must refuse to entertain the delusion that your achievements are worthless and that being proud of yourself is wrong. You must refuse to be humble because you are a man of achievement and you are a man of value. You must reject humility and embrace masculinity.